Or you ever feel like the universe just loves to pile on the pressure? Like it's testing your limits, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, we've all been there.
it really does.
But what if I told you there was a way to find, like, your own personal calm amidst all the chaos?
Hmm.
That's what we're diving into today with
Yeah.
The Fear Algorithm, a book that's promising to be your guide to inner peace, even when the world feels anything but peaceful.
And it does it in such an intriguing way. You know, it's not just your typical self-help jargon.
Right.
The author, he blends like personal stories, spiritual reflections. He even throws in some pop culture for good measure.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. You know, like a good reminder that finding peace isn't about, escaping reality.
Yeah.
It's about building that inner strength to weather any storm.
Totally. And he throws you right into the thick of it from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Chapter 1 kicks off with the author facing down a pretty universal fear,
Okay.
almost getting divorced during COVID.
Oh.
Talk about relatable.
Yeah, everybody.
But it's in that struggle that he stumbles upon his, his anchor, I guess you could say.
And it's fascinating how, it's not just about personal faith,
Right.
though that plays a part for sure.
Yeah.
He connects it to a historical event from the Bible,
Okay.
2 Chronicles, where there's this king,
Okay.
Jehoshaphat, and his people are completely outnumbered by their enemies.
Oh, wow.
Like it's a total David and Goliath situation, but with way more Goliaths.
That's tense.
But they pull through.
Wow.
And the takeaway there is facing down those impossible odds,
Yeah.
becomes a little less impossible when you're united, whether it's with family or a strong community or even just a shared purpose,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just humans finding unity in these tough times.
Right.
The author points out how the environment actually improved during the COVID lockdowns.
That's right.
Remember those stories about dolphins returning to, what was it, the canals of Venice?
Oh, yeah.
Or how the air quality dramatically improved in major cities. Like, it was like the planet itself was finally able to take a deep breath.
Totally. And that brings us to one of the, I think, biggest takeaways of this chapter,
Yeah.
the power of gratitude.
Yes.
And you see, it's not just about feeling, warm and fuzzy inside.
Sure.
So that's a nice bonus.
Right.
There's actual science behind this.
Yeah.
Studies show that actively practicing gratitude can lead to better sleep, a stronger immune system, even a higher pain tolerance.
Wow.
Think about that, like feeling thankful for what you have, even when things are tough.
Yeah.
It can literally change your life for the better.
So if you're struggling with sleep, feeling constantly run down,
Yeah.
maybe a gratitude practice could be the key.
Absolutely.
Now, chapter 2 is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
This is where he dives into the book's title,
Okay.
The Fear Algorithm. And, spoiler alert, it's not some, innate programming we're born with.
Right. It's not like pre-installed in us or anything.
Jay, what?
The author argues that fear is actually learned.
Okay.
It takes root when we start relying on what he calls human ideas over spiritual truths.
Okay. So what does that even mean? What does it look like to choose those human ideas over spiritual truths in our everyday life? And what's the alternative?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And that's where it gets good.
Uh-huh.
The author offers an antidote to this fear algorithm,
Okay.
cultivating power, love, and a sound mind. And get this.
Okay.
He illustrates this with this incredible story about finding the strength to literally lift a paraplegic man with unexpected ease.
Wow.
Like, it speaks to the incredible power we can tap into when we push past those self-imposed limitations and fear,
It really does make you question, like, what are we truly capable of,
Right.
when we move beyond that fear?
Yeah.
And you know what? To illustrate this idea even further, he brings in a very surprising example.
Okay.
Eminem's Not Afraid.
Okay.
Think about those lyrics for a second.
Yeah.
It's about silencing those inner critics, those voices of doubt and fear, and choosing to move forward with purpose and with conviction.
It's about taking that step and going for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the Mozart and Salieri comparison comes in.
Okay.
Now, for those who maybe haven't heard of them, they were both like famous composers back in the day.
Gotcha.
But Salieri
Okay.
became consumed by jealousy over Mozart's genius.
Oh, interesting.
And it ultimately, destroyed him.
Wow.
And so the author uses this as kind of a cautionary tale
Right.
to remind us that, constantly comparing ourselves to others and letting that envy take root
Yeah.
can really poison our own potential.
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
It is. It's about, focusing on our own journey,
Yeah.
our own unique strengths and talents.
Absolutely.
It's far more fulfilling and ultimately, I think, more productive than, constantly looking over our shoulder what others are achieving.
Now, how can we apply this to our own lives? How can we ditch those self-imposed limitations and tap into our inner M&M, so to speak?
Well, he suggests it all starts with cultivating that power, love, and sound mind antidote.
Okay.
And he's got some, pretty interesting ideas on how to do that.
Okay, spill the tea. What's the secret sauce to rewiring our brains for peace and strength?
Well, he's a big advocate for, daily practices like gratitude affirmations, and he's
Okay.
not just, pulling this out of thin air.
Right.
He connects it all the way back to ancient wisdom.
Wow.
He even quotes Cicero, the Roman philosopher,
Okay, yeah.
who called gratitude the parent of all virtues.
Now that's what I call street cred. So it's not just about a quick thanks before digging into dinner,
Right.
but about building this mindset of gratitude over time.
Exactly.
Does he offer any practical tips on how to do that? Because let's be real, we can all use a little help in the gratitude department sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He suggests, starting each day by saying, I am grateful for all my blessings and the love of God.
Okay.
Powerful way to kind of set the tone for your day, right?
Yeah.
He also encourages keeping a gratitude journal,
Okay.
just jotting down a few things you're grateful for each day
Yeah.
can make a world of difference.
That's a good one.
And here's a cool idea.
Okay.
Share those things with others.
Oh, yeah.
Spread that gratitude.
Yeah.
Create that ripple effect.
It's like that saying, gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Right.
But it seems like he's taking it a step further,
Yeah.
It's not just about contentment, it's about empowerment.
Exactly. And that's where he brings in another kind of surprising source,
Okay.
the Book of Mormon.
Oh.
He talks about how, reading just a few chapters from First Nephi, Enos, and Moroni
Yeah.
deepened his own understanding of faith and resilience, especially during those,
Those rough patches.
the rough patches
Heck,
that we all face. Right.
Exactly. I love that he pulls from such diverse sources.
Right.
Ancient philosophers, pop stars, religious texts.
He's got it all.
It really drives home the point that this whole cultivating inner peace thing, it's a universal pursuit.
It is.
You don't have to be a monk on a mountaintop
Right.
or a, spiritual guru to tap into these principles.
Exactly. And it's not just about, reading or reflecting in isolation either.
Right.
He emphasizes the importance of, human connection.
Oh, right.
He even shares this story about how something as simple as playing checkers with his family
Really?
helped him, develop strategic thinking
Wow.
and even, find joy in the midst of, stressful times.
Checkers. Okay, no, that's one I wouldn't have seen coming.
Right.
But it makes sense, though, right? Sometimes the most grounding and peaceful moments are found in those, simple, everyday activities.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that peace doesn't have to be this, grand, elusive thing,
Totally.
It can be found in a game night with loved ones. Or, a walk in nature or a good cup of coffee.
Right.
It's about, finding those little pockets of joy in the everyday chaos.
Absolutely. And he ties this back to the fear algorithm in a really interesting way.
Okay.
He argues that fear can often lead to overthinking,
Okay.
complicating things unnecessarily
Yeah.
and ultimately preventing us from experiencing the joy of the present moment.
It's like when you're playing checkers and you're so busy trying to think 5 moves ahead that you miss an obvious opportunity right in front of you.
Totally.
You're so caught up in the fear of making the wrong move that you end up paralyzing yourself.
Precisely. And that's why he's such a proponent of cultivating a sound mind,
Right.
being clear-headed, focused, and present in the moment.
Yes.
It's about, quieting that inner storm of anxiety and fear so that you can think clearly.
Yeah.
You can make decisions from a place of strength, not panic.
So how do we actually cultivate that sound mind? Aside from, brushing up on our checker skills, of course.
Right, of course.
What other practices does he recommend?
Well, he's a big fan of, any activity that kind of encourages focus and strategic thinking.
Okay.
He mentions word games, like Boggle, for example.
Okay.
And he even brings it back to King Jehoshaphat from chapter 1.
Oh, nice.
Remember how the king faced those overwhelming odds?
Yeah.
The author really highlights how Jehoshaphat's ability to kind of remain calm
Right.
and strategic under pressure allowed him to overcome what seemed like these insurmountable obstacles.
So it's It's about finding those activities that help us kind of tune out the noise of the world
Yeah.
and tap into our inner strategist, our inner problem solver.
Right.
For some people, it might be like a challenging puzzle. For others, it might be a yoga class
Yes.
or, spending time in nature.
Hmm.
It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's interesting how he brings this all back to the idea of service.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay.
Like, how does helping others tie into cultivating inner peace?
Right.
It seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't focusing on ourselves be the key to, like, inner peace and all that?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But he shares this really powerful anecdote about, helping this paraplegic man.
Okay.
And he talks about how in that moment, he had to like completely let go of his own limitations.
Right.
And really rely on something,
Yeah.
greater than himself.
Wow.
And the result was this like unexpected surge of physical strength
Wow.
that allowed him to lift this man like with ease.
Wow. That's incredible.
And he uses this story to kind of illustrate how stepping outside of ourselves and helping others can actually help us tap into this wellspring of inner strength that
Yeah.
we didn't even know we had.
It's like fear can sometimes make us so focused on our own like perceived weakness that we forget the incredible strength that comes from connection and compassion.
Totally.
So by reaching out and helping others,
Yeah,
we're actually like helping ourselves in the process.
exactly. And this is where he brings in the Apostle Paul, who, wrote extensively about the importance of love.
Okay.
And he quotes a passage from Paul's letter to Timothy.
Okay.
He says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind."
Mm,
And the author uses this verse to kind of emphasize that,
yeah.
love itself can be a source of like incredible strength and resilience.
Yeah, it's like the idea that we're stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
That love and unity can help us overcome even like the most daunting challenges.
Absolutely.
And speaking of overcoming challenges, let's revisit that Mozart and Salieri comparison.
Yeah.
Like, how does that tie into this idea of service and connection?
Well, it's a fascinating contrast,
Yeah.
Remember how Salieri was so consumed by jealousy
Right. Yeah.
over Mozart's talent?
Yeah.
The author uses Salieri's envy as this like cautionary tale,
Right.
arguing that jealousy and comparison can be so toxic.
Yeah.
They poison our own potential and they prevent us from like fully embracing our own unique gifts.
It's so easy to fall into that trap,
It is.
especially today,
Oh, I know.
where we're constantly bombarded with these like images of other people's highlight reels.
Oh, yeah, social media.
On social media.
So-
Exactly. And we start comparing our everyday lives to their like carefully curated online personas.
Right, and then we wonder
Yeah,
why we don't measure up.
exactly.
And it's not a fair comparison.
No, it's not a fair comparison at all.
And so the author's like antidote to this comparison trap
Okay.
is it's surprisingly simple.
Okay.
Focus on your own journey.
Okay. Yeah.
Celebrate the successes of others,
Yeah.
but like don't let their accomplishments diminish your own. It's about recognizing that we each have our own like unique path to follow,
Yeah.
our own rhythm to embrace.
Totally. And when we can truly embrace that,
Yeah.
it's incredibly freeing.
Definitely.
It's like they say, comparison is the thief of joy.
Right.
But embracing our own journey, celebrating our own progress, and cheering on others along the way.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like a recipe for inner peace.
It really is. And ultimately, that's what makes this book so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding inner peace in a vacuum.
Right.
It's about cultivating that inner peace so that we can show up more fully in the world,
Yeah.
connecting with others, serving others, making a positive impact.
Absolutely.
It's about recognizing that our own inner peace is like inextricably linked to the peace of the world around us.
So it's not the destination, it's the fuel that empowers us to live these more meaningful and fulfilling lives,
Precisely. And that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Even in the midst of like all the chaos, all the
Wow.
uncertainty,
Love the things.
we always have the power to choose love,
Yeah.
to choose gratitude,
Mhm.
to choose a sound mind.
Absolutely.
And in doing so, we not only create that sense of peace within ourselves,
Yeah.
but we also contribute to a kinder, more compassionate world around us.
What a powerful message to end on. So to everyone listening,
Yes.
as you continue your deep dive into the fear algorithm, Remember this.
Oh,
Cultivating inner peace is a journey, not a destination.
right.
It's about embracing the power of unity, gratitude, and a found mind.
Yes.
And hey, who knows, you might even discover that a good game of checkers or a random act of kindness can be a step in the right direction.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
This was great.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep learning, and keep seeking those pockets of peace in the everyday chaos.